La Meca Radio TV presenta Enlace Comunitario con la consagrada periodista ganadora de un premio Emmy, Griselle Marino.
Yo soy Griselle Marino.
Enlace Comunitario con la conducción estelar de Griselle Marino.
Gracias por acompañarnos. Hello, this is Griselle Marino. I'm your host, and the show is Community Advocacy. I work for the Office of Community Advocacy, a division under the Miami-Dade Board of County Commissioners, overseeing 8 advisory boards and the Miami-Dade County Goodwill Ambassador Program. Here to talk to us about Commission for Women's Violence Against Women Committee are Dr. Laura Maria, Director of the Board, and one of its members, Maria Santa Maria. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Griselle, for inviting us to your program. I'm Laura. I'm the Executive Director of the Miami-Dade County Commission for Women, and the Commission for Women is an advisory board to the County Commissioners on women's issues. What that means is that we advocate for policy changes, for legislative changes. We strive to improve the status of women in the community. We try to do events for women in the community, for girls in the community, raise awareness of issues of concern to women. We're not a direct service provider. We're more a policy-oriented legislative board, advocacy in general for women's rights and women's issues.
And when it comes to this new committee, or maybe not new, this committee that you have for violence, you cover domestic violence and also human trafficking.
Right. One of the issues that affects women in the community is violence against women in all its different forms. Domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. So the members of the Commission for Women, who are volunteers, they have a committee, and these are our members who take a particular interest in addressing this issue. We try to educate the public, create awareness. We work with other organizations to put on events, again, to public awareness, let people know what the resources are. So it's our Violence Against Women Committee, and obviously human trafficking is of great concern to the members of the committee.
And that's why Maria Santa Maria is here today. Welcome.
Thank you, Griselle. Thank you for having me.
So when we talk about human trafficking, there are 2 types, correct?
There are different types, yes. There's the 2 main ones that we talk about the most, which is sex trafficking and labor trafficking.
Okay, and the smuggling?
The smuggling is not trafficking. Smuggling is transportation-based, which can lead into a trafficking situation. So a smuggling situation is, I am paying you $20,000 to get me across the border. That's smuggling. Trafficking is against your will.
Okay, but the smuggling ones, like if the person wants to keep them over here and they take away the passport, that's the other one, the labor one.
That would be international trafficking. That would be a person who's in this country undocumented. It could be sex trafficking and it could be labor trafficking.
Okay, and you're also involved with an organization called Embrace that handles the sex trafficking victims, or that helps them.
We do work with both sex trafficking and labor trafficking. The organization is called Embrace House Inc., and there's two sides to the program. There is the residential program, where we house up to 4 girls, 4 survivors of either sex trafficking or labor trafficking, or both, of course. And then we have the non-residential program where we mentor the girls who don't live at the house.
So can someone come in just ready for step 2 and not go through the step 1, the residential, or everybody comes through the residential?
No, not necessarily, because not everyone qualifies for the program. You know, there are girls that are not ready for that type of program because there are rules in that program. It's, there's curfew, there's rules, there are certain goals that they need to meet. And some girls are just not ready for that. The way Embrace House was designed was for that girl who's ready for the next level, to be a little more independent, who now sees more clearly and is ready to change her life. She's ready to come and go as she needs to come and go, and we tailor the program to every girl's need. Not everybody needs a high school education because they already have a high school diploma. Not everyone needs certain things that the other one may need.
And when you say girls, how old are they?
We work with 18 and over. We have worked with as young as 15 years old, and our oldest was 63 years old.
Okay, because I'm reading here Miami trafficking statistics, and it says children as young as 12 are being sex trafficked in Miami.
Correct.
That's horrendous.
Yes.
And it's males and females as well.
Correct. There is a big market for males.
And then it says the average sex trafficking victim may be forced to have sex up to 20 or more times a day, 7 days a week.
Yes.
So
correct.
those are some of the people that you've met through
Yes.
the program?
Yes.
How, when you meet someone like that, how can you help them?
Moment by moment, day by day, you first give her the opportunity to show you who she is, you know, to trust you, because why should they trust you? You're just another person coming their way. So with a lot of love, a lot of guidance, a lot of understanding, a lot of not judging them is a big deal. The not judging them, the it's okay, you're going to get past this. Not the you're failing again, you're a failure, you are worth nothing. So the total opposite of that is what we work with.
So you work with psychologists and counselors?
Yes, we have therapists, we have doctors who do pro bono work. And I mean, by all means, I'm not a therapist. I just, you know, I'm that person that lives with them and kind of runs the organization. But the key to that, again, is getting to know her, allowing her to be who she is.
It says over here that 67% of human trafficking victims are local. So then the ones you have are not local. They don't live here. And that's how you...
No, we have a little bit of everything. I mean, you can have girls come from anywhere in the world. You can have girls that were born and raised here. You can have girls from Brazil, from Spain. It does, I mean...
Right,
we're not selective.
That's a misconception. People here in the United States think, oh, human trafficking happens in South America or Mexico or, you know, the Eastern Bloc countries, you know, whatever. And it could be down the street. I mean, there are cases where people, all of a sudden the police raid a house in a good neighborhood down the street where the human trafficking was going on, and the neighbors are shocked that it was happening in their neighborhood. So it could happen anywhere, and the girls could be our girls in high school.
And then it says 1 in 7 children run away before the age of 18. And on any given day in Florida, we have from 30 to 40,000 runaways. Why is that? Why is that happening in Florida?
It happens everywhere, not just in Florida. Kids in need, kids that, you know, may be having trouble at home, kids that maybe meet the wrong person, kids that are in need of love, in need of guidance, and they just come across the wrong person.
So it also says within 48 hours of leaving home, 1 in 3 runaways is exploited for sex trafficking or pornography. That's why, I guess, that's why you see in the news, like, the urgency to find these kids that are 12, 14, 15, because the police thinks that if they don't find them soon, then they're going to be kidnapped.
They may be lost
will.
forever, yeah.
Yep. And traffickers are very patient. They have a keen eye for that person they can traffic. They're out there relentlessly.
Is there a profile for the traffickers?
No. It could be, the person could look like you, the person could look like me. No, there is not. There's that friendly guy who that girl falls in love with. There's that guy from the get-go that can be very aggressive. There is, and it could be an old lady, it could be an older man, it could be anybody.
How can we identify the girl that it's being trafficked, and how can we alert the authorities?
Well, if you feel that someone is in immediate danger, calling 911, of course. There's also the National Human Trafficking Resource Center number, which is 1-888-373-7888. You can also text info to 233-733.
Okay, and how can we tell? What are some characteristics that, because I mean, teenagers, we always see teenagers. We usually see them in groups, with other.
Hanging out at the mall.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
you have to keep in mind also that it's not just teenagers. It could be anybody. It could be any age. It could be any ethnic background. A change in behavior in a teenager is very important. You have to watch that. You know your children. You know what's healthy for them and what's not. You may have that child who's very happy and go lucky, and all of a sudden they're moody. They're in a bad mood. They want to sleep more. There's a change in behavior, a change in the way they dress, a change in the way they talk to you. You start seeing them with items such as jewelry and clothing that you didn't buy for them. Where are you getting that from?
But how can you make hormones? And usually, I mean, I have two sons. They're 23 and 25 now. But through the teenage years, it was a little bit challenging, especially with one of them. But usually 14, 15, 16, they just change. They're more rebellious. How can you tell the difference?
Well, me as a parent, I know my child, but if a child shows up with a watch, with an expensive watch that you as a parent did not buy, you need to question that. Clothing is a big indicator. All of a sudden, there's a difference between dressing cute and a little older and dressing very provocative.
Oh my God.
Wow, that was a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big,
Yeah.
big indicator.
Yeah, and the traffickers will, at first they'll try, if it's a girl who's run away, maybe she's been on the streets for 2 or 3 days and she's really hungry, the trafficker has spotted her. Hey, let me buy you dinner. Hey, let me take you over here, get you some lunch. You know what? Oh, you lost your phone? You don't have a cell phone here. Let me get you a cell phone. And they try to get the confidence and win the young girl over, until they have her sort of mesmerized.
And
that's where the new jewelry comes in, the gifts, the things that that you didn't buy her as a parent. Again, we're talking about,
younger
young
girls. And guess what? All that costs money. At one point or another, he's going to tell her, that costs money. This is what I need you to do for me. Check your kids' phones. You learn so much from their phones. Nowadays, such a big trend is, boys and girls sending pictures of themselves to somebody. How do you know who you're sending that picture to? Now you have that trafficker that says, you know what? You sent me that nude picture of you. Guess what? If you don't do this, I'm going to tell your parents and I'm going to put it all over social media. And now they have you. You are going to do anything it takes for that not to happen.
So it could happen to someone that's living at home, or it could happen to someone that ran away, or it could happen to someone that was brought in from another country with false expectations. And I think we were talking about some sort of visa that exists, Laura.
Yes, if victims of human, because we had talked earlier about whether or not if somebody is undocumented, if the victim is undocumented, if there's a concern that they may get deported, if they go to the police rescue them, then they're going to be deported. But in the United States, we have, the T visa, it's a special visa for victims of human trafficking. If you cooperate with the police, if you cooperate with the authorities in bringing, helping them bring charges against the human trafficker, you will be protected. You'll get a permanent residence green card for your cooperation. It's a process. It may take a couple years. You have to, because it takes a couple years to get to trial. You have to cooperate through the process, but you're not going to be deported. And the other thing that I wanted to mention when you were talking about how do we recognize signs of human trafficking, there's a lot of training going on in this community. I know that the hotel industry has done some trainings for hotel workers to recognize if you're at the front desk and people are checking in for a room and something looks off, how to recognize the signs of human trafficking. If you clean rooms at a hotel, you're the chambermaid or the housemaid, and you go and clean the room. If you see something when you're going to a room, they see a lot of things when they go in and clean rooms. If you work at a restaurant, Airport workers at Miami-Dade Airport have done training. If you see somebody changing flights, trying to board a flight, and something looks off, maybe the man is boarding the plane, the woman the young girl is trying to pull back and it looks like maybe she's being forced to get on the plane. Things like that there's a lot of training going on because of the nature of our tourism and the nature of the businesses and the industries that we have here in Miami. It lends itself to that kind of stuff.
And you talked about tourism at the airport, and now because of the Super Bowl, we're going to have a lot of people come in, and there's a whole campaign on human trafficking.
Yes, there is. There's a campaign that is being coordinated through the Women's Fund, and there's different committees that are going to target different areas of trafficking. It's a huge movement that's being coordinated by the Women's Fund.
I'm coming back to your house and to your girls. What are their needs? Like if someone's watching, listening to the show, and they want to help out the victims of human trafficking, how can they help?
Well, definitely funding is a big need for obvious reasons. We have monthly sponsors, we have one-time donors. And why are we looking for these monthly sponsors? Number one, the house provides everything for the girls. It's rent-free, meals are given to them, doctor's appointments if we need to pay for that. Anything that is provided to the girls sometimes takes, financial responsibility. And not only that, by having monthly sponsors, it helps us plan for the future. How many people can we help this coming year? What can we do in the next 3 months? What can we do in the next 6 months? It helps us better prepare. Another big need are bus passes. Bus passes are very expensive, and these girls need to get around. They need to go to the doctor, they need to go to their lawyers, they need to meet with law enforcement. So they need to move, they need to go to school, they need to go to work. So that is a big, big, big need. Also, gift cards are important. Why? Because if they're spending the whole day going to the doctor or going to their lawyer, or between this appointment and that appointment, it allows us to give them a gift card to have lunch or to have dinner until they get back home. Entertainment tickets, some entrances to Santa's Enchanted Forest, to the movies. So somebody may ask, why does that girl need entertainment? Well, it can't all be hard work. You can't go from a difficult situation to a different difficult situation. You need a break in between. It just allows them to relax a little bit. Volunteers, service providers, mental health professionals, doctors, pediatricians. Why pediatricians? Because there are girls who have kids.
Can you house them?
No, we don't take women with children at this point. That is part of the bigger vision, but not at this moment.
But through your ministry, you do help girls.
We do
in
mentor.
the ministry who may have young children.
We do mentor girls who have children. We have mentored girls who were pregnant and now have children.
Because there are two types. There's the residential
and the non-residential.
The 1 year residential, and then there's another one that it's like.
Yes, we have the residential program, which is Embrace House, and the girls can stay there up to a year. If they're meeting all their goals and doing everything they're supposed to do, we can extend the program. While they're at the program, there are goals that are set for them. Every 3 months we meet with them. Okay, you've accomplished this. Now we're going to move into this. We take them through every step of their restoration process. When they first come, they rest for a little bit because really they don't know what hit them at that moment, right? So she's going to rest a little bit. We meet with them. These are the things we need to accomplish. In the next 6 months, these are the things that we need to accomplish. Do you see yourself here in a year? So we help them walk through that process. It's a 24/7 job. And it's not just me. It's not just a mentor. It's a whole village. It's every person who comes in contact with that girl who will leave their mark and make a difference in their lives. Then
you mentioned when they first come, how do they come to you?
We work very closely with law enforcement and with the state attorney's office. So the state attorney's office, to give you an example, will call and say, hey, we have a new survivor. Can you work with her? Absolutely.
Is that because they arrested the pimp?
It's because they rescued her. and then there's this girl in need. Yeah. So then we have the non-residential program, which is a mentoring program, which is pretty much the same way as the residential. The only difference is that they don't live in the house. We meet them where they're at. We pick them up
That's
wherever.
because they're already trained. They have some sort of education, and they're out there working.
That's because not everybody will qualify for the program, for the residential program. You know, we have girls that want to live more independently, girls that want to live without rules, and, you know, there's circumstances. There's a thousand examples I can give you, but we still work with them. And as I was telling you earlier, our first girl came in 2012 and she hasn't gone away. She's in a whole different country. They never go away. They really don't. Which is a beautiful thing because you realize the impact you've made in their lives.
So if someone wants to help Embrace, what do they call?
You can go to goembrace.com or they can email me at embrace@calvaryconnect.com.
So looking forward to 2020, what would you like to, how would you like to grow Embrace?
We would definitely want a bigger house in order to house more girls and to be able to have a little more finances so we can plan accordingly and help as many girls
So
as
it
we
comes
can.
back to money. Cash is king.
Yeah, because with the cash you get a bigger place, you know, or you can provide more for them. I mean, from shoes to clothing to sometimes the girls come and they may be ill. You know, you may need to run to Walgreens and pick up stuff right away for them.
Is there any type of funding, like local funding, state,
There
federal?
are grants out there. There are federal grants, there are local grants, there are state grants. There are also people who are willing to help and they don't know how. You may have somebody who is very well off and is willing to help somehow and they don't know how, and this is how they can help. Most definitely. If you're an
And
attorney.
it's a 501c3,
Yes.
so then it's a tax write-up before
Yes.
the end of the year.
Yes, it's a charitable donation, and for Maria's charity, it is. And I mean, there's a great need. There are shelters and services for human trafficking victims around the county, and they all need help. Resources and funding is definitely a big need.
And the state of Florida is number 3,
It's one of the top 3
one of the top 3
in the nation. Yes.
in the nation.
And again, I think a lot of it is because of the agriculture work. We talk a lot about the sex trafficking, but there's a big problem also with the labor trafficking here, because of the agriculture, the farms down in the fields down in Homestead. There have been, I remember I've read a couple in the news the last few years. Every now and then there'll be a raid on some of the farms near Immokalee, where they rescue migrant workers who have had their passports taken away. They're living in deplorable conditions. That's an example of labor trafficking here. You hear in the news people arrested because the nanny hasn't been let out of the house for a year. They've taken away her passport. She can't leave the house. She's being underpaid. So labor trafficking, again, because of the nature of the businesses we have here, the hotels, those cheap lunch buffet restaurants where the workers are kept in the back, and they can't paid very little, and they can't really leave. That is a big problem. Labor trafficking is a big problem in Florida.
I see. Anything else you want to say? You were saying something that attorneys, like law firms.
Yes, attorneys, law firms that can do some pro bono cases are very much needed. Why? Because sometimes the girls have a record or a background that isn't really a crime they committed but took the blame for, or coming out of that situation. Sometimes the girls have that. There may be child support or child care issues that need to be resolved. Pediatricians, we're in need of pediatricians, gynecologists, doctors, the lady who bakes. You'd be surprised how amazing that will be for these girls. And I have to share something. Miss Laura here, she's done so much.
The Commission for Women.
Well, the Commission for Women, but Laura has really, spearheaded this. And last year they brought a Christmas tree and gift cards and movie cards to the girls, and they had lunch with the girls, and that just made their holidays. The girls were like, when they left, they asked me, why were those people here? And I said, because people care. People want to help. People want to make a difference in your lives. And you have to be appreciative of that. And they at first couldn't understand, but then they did. And, every little bit helps. It takes a village. It takes a village, and some people may think, I have to do huge things to help and to make a difference. No, it only takes your heart calling and saying, go and help.
Again, what is the phone number to call or the email address?
It's goembrace.com. That's our website. And my personal email is embrace@calvaryconnect.com.
Okay. And for your board, Commission for Women, what is the vision for 2020?
Well, let me just to give a little more information for the Commission for Women. Like I said, we're an advisory board. The members are volunteers appointed by the county commissioners, very dedicated women in the community who really want to help. We have our meetings are public or open to the public, so anybody can come and sit in and see what we do. We have meetings the fourth Wednesday of the month at 5:30 in the afternoon, except the month of August and December. And 2020 is a big year. It's the centennial of women's suffrage, which means it'll be 100 years that women in the United States got the right to vote, because the 19th Amendment was passed in August 26, 1920. So August 26, 2020 will be 100 years. A lot of things are being planned around the country. There's a Centennial Commission planning events nationwide. State of Florida created one. Lots of the women's organizations in Miami were working together to put different events on. August 26, 2020, there'll be an event at the Women's Park here in Miami. We are also hoping to have a reception or an event where we recognize all the women elected officials in Miami-Dade County at every level: Congress, state senate, state rep, the lieutenant governor, our county commissioners, our mayors in our cities. People don't realize how many elected women we have here in the community, so we want to recognize them. We have an event coming up now in March in the Company of Women, which is really an annual event for Women's History Month, where we recognize outstanding women in the community in different fields, and that I believe is March 19th. And I want to congratulate you, Griselle, because I know that you are one of the recipients, one of the honorees this year for your work in media and communications.
Thank you.
So
Thank you so much.
you'll be featured March 19th at the Coral Gables Country Club. So those are just three of the things that we're planning for next year. I'm sure other things will come up.
Thank you. And then we'll have you again, and you can talk to us more about all the planning and invite the audience to go to those events. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you, Maria Santa Maria. Thank you,
Thank
Laura,
you.
for coming over here, and to all of your members for the type of service that you provide to the community. I hope our audience enjoyed today's show. As always, you can contact us at www.miamidade.gov/advocacy, as well as via our social media platforms, Advocacy MDC. Or you could call us at 305-375-5730. My email is Griselle, GRISELLE.Marino, MARINO, at miamidade.gov, and you can always reach me through my email address or calling us at 305-375-5730 with any question about the county. We're here to help you. Thank you so much.
Enlace Comunitario con la consagrada periodista ganadora de un premio Emmy, Griselle Marino.
Yo soy Griselle Marino.
Enlace Comunitario con la conducción estelar de Griselle Marino.
Gracias por acompañarnos.